Okay, now on to our shorter program segment, and to make the introduction is Dave Scott. David.
In his best-selling book, Freakonomics, the award-winning economist, Dr. Stephen D. Levitt, discusses the true power of reading and writing at an early age. Using data-driven analysis, Dr. Levitt proved that despite skin color or socioeconomic status, a child is just as likely to go to college if they are reading at grade level by the 5th grade. Such is one of the many missions of Powerful Schools, a program that focuses on reducing the academic achievement gap between those that have and those that have not. I'm pleased to announce that we have the Executive Director of Powerful Schools with us today, Mr. Trey Maxey. For most of his career, Trey has dedicated himself to helping underrepresented youth. First, as the Executive Director of the Tupac Shakur Foundation, and now in his current role as Executive Director of Powerful Schools. Under his leadership, Powerful Schools continues to serve over 4,000 children a year across 11 elementary schools within the Seattle area, teaching them reading, writing, music, and dance through in-school and after-school programs. Please welcome Mr. Trey Maxey.
Catastrophe, the single largest threat to our national security, the potential to crash our economy. No, I'm not describing the latest foreign combatant. Those were the words used by retired General Colin Powell to describe the current state of education in America. This threat is homegrown. The education gap for low-income and non-white families is widening at alarming rates. Nationally, 20% of African Americans and 39% of Latino high school students do not finish high school. In Washington state, the number is 42% of Latino students who drop out of high school. Washington state is 46th in the nation for the amount of students ages 18 to 24 enrolled in post-secondary education. There are many factors driving this huge education gap, but none more larger than socioeconomics. Due to underfunding, many of our classrooms are overfilled. Students learn from outdated textbooks. And in Seattle, there are over 4,000 children living in homeless families. These families in many of our schools are casualties of the result of inequity in our education system. Today, our schools must do more than teach arithmetic. They must do what it takes to ensure every child succeeds. They must have compassion. They must innovate and diversify the curriculum, and they must support families. The will to educate every child must outweigh our economic drive. What is the social impact of our education and equity? Demand for educated and skilled workers is exceeding the country's supply at alarming rates. Hospitals, technology, and accounting firms are projecting a shortage of highly skilled workers to fill open positions. By 2012, Washington State will need more than 1,300 more accountants and bookkeepers than are projected available. With numbers like these, it makes one wonder, where will tomorrow's talent come from? Who will be the next generation of investors, inventors, business owners, doctors, teachers, nurses, and pilots? If we do not change the current state of our national education system, our economic system will collapse. The decline of this nation will not be because of loss in military might. No, the decline of this nation will be the dismal education of our children and their inability to compete globally. When Undersecretary of Education, Dr. Martha Cantor, spoke to Rotary here back in September, she cited data that said by 2050, 438 million people will occupy America. Of that total population, Hispanic population will grow from 14% to almost 30% of the population. Foreign-born residents will increase from 12 to 19%. From my work at Powerful Schools, I have firsthand knowledge working with families whose first language is not English. Recently, a Latino father who spoke no English talked passionately about his son, He said through an interpreter that he wanted the best for his son, but felt that he could not help his son succeed with academics because he does not speak English. Most of all, this father said that he wanted the best education for his child, just as we want the best education for ours. Safe and stable housing, quality jobs, adequate health care, and resources for non-English speaking families are key factors that go hand in hand with education success. Developing an education reform plan without these ingredients will be like baking an apple pie without the apples. President Obama has sparked a huge national conversation about improving education. The president's strategy is to turn around the top 5% of low-performing schools. In other words, those who are at the bottom will race to the top. The president has announced several education initiatives: Race to the Top, Promise Neighborhoods, Choice Neighborhoods, and invested in innovation, among others. The tactics include improving the principal and evaluation process, replacing school leaders if needed, creating a plan that includes housing and other supports to whole communities, and tracking data across schools, and increasing innovation in our schools. Washington State did not apply in the first round of competition, but in an effort to make our state more competitive in the second round, Governor Gregoire, the State House and Senate announced their own bill, the Education Reform Bill 6696, adopting some of the president's tactics. After an extended legislative session, the Education Reform Bill passed the Washington State Legislature. Many argue that this bill was needed to put Washington State at the starting blocks for the Race to the Top national competition. What does all of this mean for our children, the future of our nation? It is clear to me that our schools cannot do it alone. They need us, the community, everyone in this room. More and more employers need to get directly involved to ensure that the future workforce is competitive. Schools will require our expertise, our talent, and our time. We can accomplish this. After all, we are the nation that put a man on the moon. We are the people that have overcome segregation, the Great Depression, World Wars I and II, Vietnam, and the attacks of September 11. It will take all of us, not just our government alone. Just as you, Seattle 4, has exemplified the ideals of community service for over 100 years. Service above self. This race to the top will have more than one winner. This race will depend upon all of our children finishing first. Thank you.
Thank you, Trey, and thanks for your dedication to so many young and deserving students in our community.